Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today we're doing Kesubos 31, Lamed Aleph. There's a famous Hakira, I don't know, I think it's Machlokas in the Rishonim, what the halacha is. By Kimle with the Rabbin. Kimle with the Rabbin means that you do something which makes you chayiv misa, and you simultaneously do something which would chayiv you mammon. You steal something, you mazik something, you damage something. So you're chayiv misa and pater minam mammon. We're going to learn this later on in the parak. What's the makor? What's the source for this? But that's the halacha. Now, does it have to be mamash or basachas? The Gemara is clear that if you're chayiv in the mammon first, right? Rav Chisda is on the top of Lamed Aleph that you're going to chaylev, you stole it first and then you ate it. So you're chayiv both because the gneva happened first and then the mammon after. But what and the misa after? What about if you have the misa and then the mammon after that? Right? Not simultaneously, but a little bit after. I don't know if you could say that today you're Machal Shabbos, and then the rest of the Shabbos you can go and mazik someone's mammon, and you're not going to be chayiv for that. I don't know if they're going to say that, but at least it's in the same time period. I didn't say Tokidei Tibor or I don't know, or like similarly basachas. I don't think anyone was going to say you're chayiv because you're chayiv misa. So the rest of Shabbos you can go and steal things and be putter for stealing. I don't think anyone would say that. But if it's close together in time, maybe you would be putter from the mammon. Or does that the ma'ashuv basacha? So there's the Gemara doesn't talk about this directly, but it really does reference it in a lot of cases. First of all, the Gemara has a case on the top of the bottom of Lamed Amud Beis, Lamed Aleph. The third case we're trying to figure out by someone's chayiv misa b'dei shamayim and nezek or gneva at the same time. Dar shachal truma b'shalov, akar shiran shachavero. Top of Lamed Aleph and Aleph, right? He eats the truma, which is mechayiv misa b'dei shamayim, and then he rips his friend's silk cloth, silk underwear. So he ripped the silk underwear. Is it mamish at the time when he's swallowing, or maybe a little bit after? It doesn't specify in the Gemara. Rashi says specifically b'shasha bola, exactly the time he's swallowing. That's when he ripped it. It has to be mamish bazachas. It doesn't mean while he's in the middle of eating. He swallowed it already, right? Now it's going into his me'ayim, it's going into his intestines. We mentioned that achila is significant not just in your throat, but also it's ishi, it's in your stomach. Maybe afterward it's okay also, right? It's one act. It's sort of in the same time frame, right? It's all you're digesting it, so therefore you potter even that. Rashi seems to indicate it has to be basachas mamish. Now then the Gemara brings a case. The Gemara brings the case of Rav Chisda, where he says that you're going to chaylev shel chaveiro, you steal the chaylev of your friend, right? Which is forbidden fast, which is chayiv kares, and you eat it, right? You're chayiv for the gneva first, but you stole it before you ate it. So the Gemara says, why isn't like the case of Rabbi Abin? Rabbi Abin says when you shoot an arrow, or you throw an arrow on Shabbos, Dalet Amos, so you're chayiv akira sarach hanacha, and it rips shiroin, it rips a woman's blouse, a silk blouse in the middle. So you'd be pater over there, Rabbi Abin says. If you're zorek, you throw it, right? So the Gemara says there, it's akira sarach hanacha. What's the distinction? So the Gemara gives two distinctions. The Gemara says, first of all, when it comes to stealing chaylev, you don't have to actually steal it. You can just bend down to the floor and eat it. You don't have to pick it up. You don't have to pick it up. You can't say hakbas sarach achila. You just pick it up. So therefore, the other answer is that no, even after I picked it up, I don't have to eat it. I can go back and refuse to eat it. Once I throw that arrow, that's akira sarach hanacha. It's one action. So therefore, it's pater shirayin. So it comes down to when you're zarg shirayin, when you're zarg dalan on achetz b'shis rabim, and you're kari shirayin me'emsa, is the pshat, the Gemara calls it akira sarach hanacha, is the pshat akira sarach hanacha because you need the akira hanacha, because dalan amos havaro dalan amos shirabim, that is the chiyuv. The akira hanacha are the main parts that are mechayiv, as opposed to just taking shiziyachid shirabim. It's not the akira hanacha are tnoim, but they're not, right? They're things that you need, but they're not the integral part. Just transferring from shiziyachid shirabim is really what makes you chayiv. So do we say it's all one thing? The akira hanacha is just like one moment in time. It's not, even though it takes 3 seconds, it's still one moment in time. Whatever you do during that moment is considered to be basachas. Or do you say no? Akira sarach hanacha, the akira is going to land at some point. So therefore, already b'shas akira you're chayiv. If that's the case, so already b'shas akira. So therefore, even though it is simultaneously, right? You're already chayiv b'shas akira, right? And then in the middle of the flight of that arrow, you rip the shirayin, so it doesn't have to be basach. It's just in one motion or one action. So therefore, that's good enough, even though it's not simultaneously in time, right? So those are the two studim over there. So, and the Gemara brings a nafkamina. What about if you, according to Rabbi Avin, if you walk the arrow, or you walk a knife, you take a knife and you carry it out of Sharab. So if you say that Akira Sarach Hanacha is because it happens mamish, it's like one action, it happens momentarily at the same time. So by a knife, you have no option. You can't just. It's not like with a chalev where you could just bend down and eat it. You want to carry it. You want to carry it dalar amos. But if it's matzi la'adura, that's the distinction. So you can bring it back. So also, when you're carrying a knife, you don't have to continue going. You can, after 2 amos, you can decide to go back. So the Gemara just says those two nafka. It says that nafkamina within the 2 different ways of providing the distinction between the case of Rabbi Chisda and Rabbi Abin. However, at the end of the Gemara, Lamed Aleph, the Gemara seems to only have one option, because the Gemara brings a case of a Mishnah. Hagon of Kis b'Shabbos chayev shkarnas chayev b'gneva kodim shav aliyis or skila. Let's say you steal someone's purse, and someone's house, you go into someone's house, you take their purse, and you're carrying it outside. So you're chayev. It depends. If you picked it up in the house, you're chayev. You did hagbah. If you didn't pick it up, then you're pater. If you're Moshe, if you're dragging it, you're pater, because it's kim levi d'Rabbanan. It happens at the same time. And the Gemara tries to say, why isn't that over there? Why don't we say over there? It's like Akira Sarach Hanacha. Why don't we say Hagbah is Sorah Chotzah? And therefore it's like one motion, right? Now here you can't say the side of he can just bend down and eat it. He doesn't have to steal it. Here he wants to steal. He wants to take it out. So therefore, it seems to be that the only distinction. So it has to be that's the distinction, right? Because the other distinction, right, Hagbah Sorach Chotzah, you can turn around, right? So the Gemara doesn't suggest that he can turn around, so therefore it's not Hagbah Sorach Chotzah. The Gemara didn't have that pircha, didn't ask that question over here. It must be the Gemara is going with the first reasoning that that chalev is different because he doesn't have to actually pick it up. But when you want to pick something and take it out, right? So then that's considered Akira Sarach Hanacha. It's Hagbah Sorach Chotzah. And the Gemara assumes Hagbah Sorach Chotzah. So it doesn't hold of the answer that you can turn around and give it back. So if that's true, right? So what's the nafkamina between these 2 different answers, right? Whether I can bring it back, I'm walking the knife. I can either bring it back or Akira Sarach Hanacha because it's one thing. So nafkamina is if you say I can bring it back. So obviously the reason is that you're not chayiv in that case is because normally we would say. It's not because Akira Sarach Hanacha is considered to like one moment in time. Akira Sarach Hanacha is because the Akira needs a Hanacha. It's already chayiv with the Akira. But if I bring it back, I bring the knife back, so then I lost my Akira, lost my Hanacha. So it must be that the svara is that we're not going with the svara of bringing it back. We're going with the svara of Akira Sarach Hanacha just means it's one moment in time. And therefore, even if I'm transferring a knife, because I can bring it back doesn't have any significance, right? Because at the end I didn't bring it back. I went for Dalet Amos. Akira Sarach Hanacha means it's like one moment in time, and therefore the pshat is the reason you're pater when you kara shirayim be'emsa is because it's one moment in time, and therefore it's mamash b'asachas. Like the Brayta says, if you do mashicha boin ke'echad, right? Mamash has to be exactly at the same time, and then in fact is the correct answer how we paskin on Lamed Aleph on Beis. There's 2 siyurim, 2 cases the Gemara says trying to figure out what this case is talking about. When you're Megara v'yotzei, is the pshat? 2 answers the Gemara says. What is the case of Megara v'yotzei? You do mashicha, you carry it to the house. Where are you carrying it to? If you're carrying it to Shorabim, right? You're chayav for Shabbos, but you're not chayav for the gneva. So the Gemara says we're talking about Seder Shorabim. That's the first answer. So there, Seder Shorabim is like Shorabim for Shabbos, so you're chayav in the Hotzah, but you're not chayav for the gneva. But you're chayav for the gneva also because Seder Shorabim for gneva, for gneva is like a Rosh Hashayachid. So therefore, it's like you did Mashiach. Mashiach can be konet in a Rosh Hashayachid, but not in Rosh Hashanah. I mean, when you brought it into your private domain, Rosh Hashanah belongs to you. So that's one answer, which is mamash basachas. In that case, right, when the second you take it out, you drag it out from your house to the Rosh Hashanah. That split second when you're taking it out from Rosh Hashanah, that's Shabbos, and it's also that exact second is the Mashiach is the Geneva also. However, when it comes to the second answer, where the Rav Ashi, which is we don't hold out, we don't pass like that, where you put your hand, you have a doorstep, and you put your hand a little below the doorstep, and it falls into your hand. So the Yisr Shabbos or Havara Haknasa Mishuz Hatzah Mishuz Yachid Sharabim happened when you're dragging right when it left the top of the step, and it has to wait a second. You're not chayiv in the game until it comes into your hand. So according to that answer, right, Kim Derav Minei is not exactly simultaneously 100%. But according to the first answer, it's simultaneously 100%. That's the difference in those two answers. Therefore, you see, it has to be mamish simultaneously, not exactly split second. EF Charlotte Samtami Pashkim, but it has to be basically the same second. It can't be a little bit after Tokade Dibor. That's the conclusion I came to from this Gemara. I think it's pretty conclusive. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.